not value customers. They think customers are annoying and should not be there. So you think about values. We talked about values in the planning presentation, that you have to set values for the organization. As you as a leader, what are your values as a leader? And you got to permeate that throughout the business. And that's one of the huge cultural changes you can do, is to set your values and then engage in how to make those values go out throughout the whole business. It's not easy to do. I'm not saying it is. But it's a huge thing about how you can do. So culture also, it's not the same throughout the whole organization. There are some things you could argue with Turkish Airlines. You could argue there's a company-wide value and a company-wide culture related around customer service. But you could probably also argue that, if you look at some subgroups, that there might be a little bit slightly different culture in that group. The salespeople kind of have their own culture. The mechanical repair people for the airplanes kind of have a different way that they relate to one another. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying expect it to be slightly different, just for the type of people that tend to repair airplanes versus the type of people who try to sell something. Okay? So there are going to be, I would say, slightly different cultures throughout your organization. They could be related to a department, a formal group, a team. The accounting department has kind of their own accounting culture that they tend to have over there. They're all very serious. They all arrive an hour early to work, and they dress very professionally, and they always kind of keep to themselves and don't interact with anybody else. Very serious group. Okay. Then you go talk to the salespeople. They show up at any time, and they're very talkative, and they like to go out to lunch together, and they're very much a communal group. You're going to have that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's just kind of, to some degree, the nature of the people that are drawn to that profession. Okay, but you want your overarching value of customer service to permeate all of that, right? If someone calls with an accounting problem, you want them to have a great customer service experience as well as if they call sales. That could be an overarching thing. And it could be within an informal group. What are some examples of subgroups within a company? It could be people on the first shift versus second shift. If the people don't rotate shifts, if they stay on the same shift all the time, I would guarantee you the people that work in the middle of the night are kind of a different group than that work in the daytime. The ones that work at night all the time typically don't like supervision. They're more independent. They're more, leave me alone and I'll do my job. Whereas the day-type people are probably more social. They're more talkative. Those sorts of things. And I've heard with some organizations, the daytime people are the weaker people because they need all the support. I've heard that. But you can have employees of all the accounting people, all the people in a particular building. It was so funny. I worked with one company that had 2 or 3 buildings at their site. And they would say, well, the people in that building, they got the nicer bathroom. And they got the nicer parking lot. Fine, you go talk to that building, they say, oh, those people over there have the nicer kitchen. And they've got a better, locker room or something. It's like, oh my gosh. All they can do is complain, basically, about the other people. So they were not on the same team, that is for sure. Okay. Years ago, you see how old this slide is. Years ago, it used to be those who had cell phones and those that did not. What it amounted to was those people in the office or those people in production. Production means I'm producing the product. Office means I'm selling it or accounting or marketing or whatever. You know, it was an office job. It wasn't a production job. Those who had covered parking and those that didn't. Covered parking was top management. If you didn't have covered parking, you were a peon, some small person who didn't matter. I kid you not, I drove up to this. If you play air hockey at the rec center, go look at the name of the air hockey table, and I've worked with them. Okay, which makes you all want to go play air hockey now. I drove up to the place in 1992. It's been a while. And they have covered parking. Inside the covered parking was BMW 750, sitting next to a Jaguar XJ12, which is a 12-cylinder, next to a Mercedes 500 series, next to, on and on. There's about 6 cars sitting there, all 100 grand or more. In 1992, right? And then there was some visitor parking that was not covered, right? You could park over it. So I pull up to the building. I'm thinking, man, where is everybody? I just see a few cars here and a little visitor parking. I don't know what's going on. You go in and they're making all of these air hockey tables and coin-operated billiards. And we have, I think, their competitor over there now. I don't think they have their company. I said, where is everybody? Oh, there's a gravel parking lot in the back. If you work in production, you got to go park behind the building. Like, really? That seems a little bit like a divided group. Right? We got top management who have covered parking with some fancy automobile, and then you got to park in the back. Well, then you go out to the facility. It's a metal building in Fort Worth, Texas, no air conditioning. And they're cutting these boards like you have on your desk, these kind of particle boards, because they're putting together these air hockey tables and pool tables and these video games that you'll see in the mall. And so dust is flying everywhere. It's like one big dust cloud out there. Like, holy smoke, it's 110 degrees out here and dust is flying like crazy. And they're cutting these things with a big jig, and they've got the spindle spinning at God knows how fast, but not covered. So it's not very, it would be very easy to start moving the thing around and then come back and not have any fingers. Then I was walking through, and someone has a loudspeaker. Someone gets on a loudspeaker and starts yelling at one of the people to come to the front office. It's like, oh, man. Started using cuss words on the loudspeaker. And I thought, I wonder if we value employees here. I wonder if our people are important. We make them park in the back, don't control the dust, and yell at them on the loudspeaker. Probably not. Nah, people aren't important here. We can go find some others to work in 110-degree heat in a dust cloud. It's like, really? And then I went and talked to one of the engineers. It was one of our graduates from the University of Texas at Arlington, visiting with him. I said, well, how is it like to work here? He just looked up at me. He said, I've been working 60 hours a week and under horrible conditions. Oh, really? Why are you still here, though? I've been looking. Don't worry. I said, okay. So even the engineering staff were treated the same way as the production employees. Was usually in those environments, the staff is one section and the production is another. Usually. So you definitely had this subgroup of people that were treated differently, and you see how stark the differences were. That if you were management, you were one thing, and if you were not, you were something else. And you could see that culture permeate throughout the whole business. But it sometimes could be covered parking was one designation. If you were in that group, then great. But if you're not, you're in the gravel parking lot behind the building. Sometimes cultural lines can be found with these things I have on slide 14. That's what I'm getting at. If you're a manager, you're looking for these things. You're coming into a new organization, or you're rising to the top of an organization you've been in for a long time. You know that there's covered parking people and there's people that don't. Usually, so these are people who have private offices and people who don't. So you start to see cultural subgroups exist around that, and you start talking about, why is all this important? And you're never going to get the vision if you have a culture that's a huge obstacle. If you remember, we had a slide that showed where you are now and this vision of where you want to be, and there's obstacles in the middle. One of those would be culture if it's really bad. The culture is horrible, no one likes to work there. Then one of those obstacles would have been culture. Another important thing that'll be a test question more than likely is we have to have the knowledge, skills, and attitude in our workforce to reach the vision. Knowledge, skills, and attitude. Knowledge, I know what to do. Skills, I know how to do it. Attitude is some things we've been talking about. Do I have the mental frame of mind to go about this work? Now, the more I've worked with organizations that are forward-thinking and trying to make improvements, the more they're going to hire on attitude. Because they can teach the skills and knowledge to someone, but it's very difficult to change someone's attitude. I had a student, I teach an introductory course to engineering at 12:30 on Wednesdays. And I had probably at least two different students that are 18 years old, and they're starting off as engineers. And they came after class and asked me, what major should I choose? Because you might have chemical engineering and civil and industrial and mechanical. And they're all in the same room, and there's 220 of them. They came up to me after class, what major should I choose to become the big boss? Okay, fine. I wanted to encourage our Lamar graduates to achieve the highest achievements. So I said, who do you want to work for? I want to work for a chemical plant. Well, then you probably should be a chemical engineer if you want to be the top person at a chemical plant. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter what you know. At the end of the day, it's your character that's going to get you there. Right? It's your work ethic. It's your attitude and your personal integrity that's going to get you there. I don't care what major you are. It doesn't really matter. You can start off mechanical. You can start off industrial and be plant manager. Right? The knowledge and the skills of a particular engineering discipline is not the single biggest determiner if you're going to be the plant manager. I said, if they can give you an assignment and you can take care of it, you're responsible, you get your work done on time, it's quality work, then they're going to give you a bigger assignment. When you get that done on time, quality work, you can handle it. Right? It's that's going to get you to the top. It's not whether you're a mechanical or an industrial engineer. That's not important. Okay? So with this slide, I'm getting to is that the attitude is very difficult to change. The knowledge and the skills we can work on. You don't know anything about programming in C++, we can teach you how to do that. Teach you what programming is and how to program. Okay. No, it's not going to change your attitude. When you read Good to Great, which I know you can't wait. Some of you have probably already started reading. I know Abby's bursting with it. She's been reading it probably since the first day of class. Yeah. Jeremy as well. Yeah. You're going to read about Nucor in Good to Great. And you'll find the Nucor would build a facility in the middle of farm country. Why would they build a steel facility in the middle of farm country? I know you haven't read, so I'm asking you to guess. Why would they do that? Come on, graduate students.
The environment is more peaceful?
No, we don't care about peaceful.
Are they going to bring their own environment and bring opportunities to a small town?
Nope. Keep going.
Cost.
No. Their attitude was, we can teach farmers how to make steel, but we can't teach the farmer work ethic.
So they're going to take a...
So they're going to take farmers and make steel workers out of them, but they want that farmer's work ethic. I mean, you're going to get up early, you're going to work hard all day. Right? Steel making is not, I'm not saying it's easy, but we can teach you how to do it. We can give you the knowledge of steel. We can give you practice, hands-on, to learn how to make the steel with the equipment. Pay you more than you can make farming. And we want that attitude. Okay. They're hiring on attitude. They're putting plants in locations just for the attitude. So the more that I've worked in consulting in companies that are trying to make improvements, the more attitudes are more important. That's why when you interview, you might even have a behavioral interview style versus a traditional interview. And they're going to give you situations and ask you, how would you solve it? So that has, more to do with your approach than what you know about that technology. So, knowledge, skills, and attitude. Got to have an idea. Those things are important. 17 is important as well. Why is culture important? Culture acts as a social control system that shapes behavior of people. It can limit what you can do with the vision. You may want to be the best, but you have a culture that's horrible. People have a horrible attitude. They don't like working there. They have very poor work ethic. No one shows up on time. No one trusts management. It's just a deplorable place. And that culture is going to be a huge obstacle to achieving anything. It very well limits what strategies you can do. Okay. And it certainly affects how customers perceive your company. So it can be a powerful mechanism in what you maybe when it says strategies, maybe one of your strategies is to implement a new technology. But people are afraid of change. They don't like change. They want to keep everything like it is because it's easy for them. This is how we've always done it. I like the way we've done it because it's easy on me. I don't have to learn anything new. I know my routine, and I'm going to stick with my routine of daily work. But if you implement this new technology, I'm going to have to learn something new, and I don't like that. It's unfamiliar. It's not comfortable to me. So they might give them the new technology, but they're going to leave it on the shelf. We're not going to use that. We're going to use our old way. We like that better. I trust my way. I don't trust your new technology. I like using a pencil and a paper. That's what I like. I can see it and I can write it down. I don't want your computer. I don't want your tablet. I don't want your spreadsheet. And then they may not use it. It's going to sit there. I've worked with places like that. They have so many people in the old guard that don't want to change. It's very difficult to push new technology out to the field. Very difficult. You could argue that you have supervisors that aren't holding people accountable, and I would agree with that. You have the right supervisor that says, we are going to do this, we are going to the training, and we will use it. I'm taking all your pencils and all your paper, and it's going away. You won't have the opportunity to write anything down. It's all got to go in here. Right. So you start to see the value of supervisors and managers. And so culture can be a huge limitation. So let's talk a little bit about how to change it.